There are 4 types of introverts. Which type are you? There's a scale of introversion versus extroversion. And basically what it means is how you as an individual like to recharge your battery. Are you somebody who gets recharged by having a lot of interaction? If so, you are not an introvert. If you're somebody who has to go inside or alone, inside yourself or alone to get that recharge, then you're definitely an introvert. There are more introverts around than you may think, and for someone like me who comes off as fairly extroverted, it may take a lot of people by surprise that I actually have a lot of introverted tendencies. Understanding the 4 types of introverts and knowing where you land can help you deal with your introversion, and it can help you to stop getting drained so quickly when you're out and about. If you just sometimes just find yourself going, golly, I'm just so drained, I just have to get out of here, then watch this video today, because learning about which type you are, I'm also going to give you a few ways that you can shift and help keep your battery charged longer and not feel so drained. So if that sounds good, stick around. But before we get to it, I want you to check and see if you're a subscriber here. And if not, please click that subscribe button and the little bell so you'll get notifications when we drop videos like this to help you live a happier and more fulfilling life. And then also, if you like this topic, go ahead and give me a thumbs up so that I know that you like it, and it'll also be on your list of liked videos so you can go back and have easy access to it. All right, I'll be back to go over the 4 types of introversion, help you figure out what type you are, and then give you some next steps on how to best make sure that you stay full and not get drained and depleted from your social, mental, and emotional batteries. Be right back.
GILD Coaching. More success, less stress.
Being an introvert has much more to do with how you recharge your social, mental, and emotional battery than it does about whether you like people or not. A lot of people, especially extroverts, are under the mistaken impression that introversion means that you don't like people. But that's actually not true. Today, I'm going to go over the 4 different types of introverts so that you can figure out which one you are, and each different type is going to have a few things that you can do to maybe not get so drained so fast and ever hit that rock bottom where you just have to, take off and go into your little hidey hole. So the first type of introvert is a social introvert. This is a person who might prefer smaller, more intimate gatherings to huge crowds. You'd prefer maybe a one-to-one outing with a friend rather than going out with a group of 10 to 12 people or more. Okay, so social introvert just means that the stimulation from being in large groups is a little bit too much for you. Okay, so what do you do if you're a social introvert and you have to go somewhere where there's going to be a whole lot of people, the expectation that you'll have a whole lot of interaction, that can be just really anxiety creating for a social introvert. What you do before the event that you have to go and take part in, or that you should need to take part in, is lots of self-care. Make sure that you are rested, that you are hydrated. I'm always talking about hydration. I always have a great big thing of water right here next to me, and I'm sipping on it all day long. And make sure that you have a buddy. So if there's somebody that's going to be at the event who understands you, and they can kind of be your home base for the event, then that's going to help you kind of take refuge in that other person. I know that in social gatherings, things of that nature, I am misinterpreted as being quite the extrovert, but I actually have a lot of introverted tendencies and need to recharge by myself out of the public eye. Really, really love being alone and kind of, like I said earlier, in my little hidey hole, I'm recharging. But if you have that person as your home base there, especially if you can pair up with a friend who may be an extrovert or has more, or an introvert with more extroverted tendencies at some points, like me, then that person can can watch for your cues, and if you're really, really feeling drained, then they can kind of be your wingman there. Okay, so that is a social introvert. All right, the second kind of introvert is a thinking introvert. This type of a person, and I am definitely not a thinking introvert. My brain's always on. I can have some really fast responses, but thinking introverts find it more comfortable when they're having a conversation to go at a slower pace. And if they're asked questions, they may even request time, extra time, like, I don't know, let me think about that. Can I get back to you on that? They need a little bit more time to really dive in, put their hands in the clay, and figure out, what do they actually think? These people are very, very purposeful. Actually, even though I am a fast thinker and I like quick answers, sometimes that part of me, that extroverted part of me, may get a little frustrated by thinking introverts. But really, it's phenomenal because they're extraordinarily purposeful. They don't want to say something that isn't right on par with what they mean or how they feel. They never want to have to go back and do a retraction of any sort. Okay, so that's a thinking introvert. If you are a thinking introvert, especially in the office place with close personal relationships with your friends, with your significant other, let them know. My husband's actually a thinking introvert. He has a lot of extroverted tendencies. He's an extrovert overall, but in this way, he does like to digest what's been asked of him, think about it for a minute. He's a little bit slower to give an answer. Just be honest with the people around you, especially in your office place, and say, look, this is the type of introvert that I am, or this is one of the types of introverts that I am. And I don't mean to be taxing or a burden, but I'm going to need a little bit longer to process and give you a thoughtful answer. And just being aware of yourself, first of all, bravo if anybody's aware of themselves enough to do and say what I just exampled for you. But it'll impress people that you are so self-aware and that you're so conscientious and honoring of them and their time and their energy that you would take the time to share that with them. The third kind of introvert is an anxious introvert. Now, you might think that this person's a bit of a basket case if you're not an anxious introvert, but just give them a minute. Just the thought of going out in public is enough to drive these people into a state of high anxiety. Okay, so anxious introverts need a lot of dedicated time with low stimulation. Like, you really don't need a lot of stimulation at all. If there is a big social gathering, anxious introverts can build it up to be this horrific thing before it even starts. So they pre-experience the misery that they haven't even made it to yet, which sounds kind of crazy, but we all kind of do that. If you have ever said, oh, yuck, she's going to be there, oh, I hope she doesn't talk to me, or what, you're doing the same thing. So let's not crucify anxious introverts here. Anxious introverts have a higher resting anxiety level. And they really, if you find yourself identifying with this type of introversion, really, you have to pay attention to every single type of anxiety lowering activity. The number one way that I guide people to lower their anxiety, and you can find guided sessions for this right here on our YouTube channel on that guided sessions playlist. But breathing exercises, just directing your mind to your breath in through your nose, just only like blocking out every other thought and directing your mind to that breath, to that channel of breath into your lungs back out again, into your lungs back out again. When you do that, you are practicing mindfulness. It is a form of meditation. So focusing on your breath immediately begins to lower anxiety. But I'm not just talking about doing those breath exercises when you're feeling the anxiety. I'm talking about doing those breath exercises every single day as a dedication to yourself, because you can train yourself to lower that resting anxiety level. Okay, and that's one of my primary functions as a coach. A lot of people who have clinical anxiety, they've been diagnosed with different anxiety disorders. They don't want to live the rest of their life on medication, and they want some coping techniques, and they come to me to get them. And how do I know? Because I was diagnosed with clinical anxiety disorder, and I have non-medical coping techniques or non-medication coping techniques. So that is the first thing, that if you are an anxious introvert, really focus on day-to-day anxiety, lowering breathing. Just focus on that one thing right now. And if you need a second thing to focus on after you've nailed the breathing, reach out to me, because my contact information is in the video description here. You can always reach out to me, okay? And the fourth kind is the restrained introvert. Now, you may think that this person is snobby or is snubbing you or may not be so friendly, but this person is just someone who can be out in the social situations but pulls their energy back in. They are more restrained. They don't take part in conversations as quickly and easily. They need to get to know you a little bit before they'll open up and show you their true colors or give you any spice at all in anything that you're doing. The restrained introvert, if they're not careful, they can actually develop into an anxious introvert, and you don't want to do that. So for restrained introverts, I would recommend that you slowly and very mildly push yourself to be a little bit more open. And what I mean by that is share a little bit earlier than you may think that you should, and really explore other people a little bit more, their likes, their dislikes, their thoughts on different things, their beliefs. Just explore them. Other people love talking about themselves. So if you ask them questions about themselves, you're really not in the spotlight, which would make you more comfortable, right? Because you're a restrained introvert. So you're not in the spotlight, but you are deepening that relationship. So for the restrained introvert, I would say really just try to push yourself a little bit past that comfort zone and open that door. Now, if you know someone who's a restrained introvert, I would say patience is your top virtue in cultivating this relationship. Know that there is a fear there. Know that there is a processing that needs to take place for them to feel that trust, for them to feel that comfort, and be as loving and understanding as possible. Well, those are the 4 types of introverts: social, thinking, anxious, and restrained. If this video has been of help to you, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you leave, and the little bell so that you find out the next time that we drop a video like this, to keep you better informed so that you can have a lower stress, higher fulfillment life. See you next time.